They say if you have money, looks, and followers, you've made it. Aarav had all three. A high-rise penthouse overlooking the city, a car that turned heads, invites to every exclusive party in town. His face was always glowing on someone's Instagram story. His DMS? Flooded. His calendar? Booked solid. But none of it mattered. Not really. Because every night when the noise faded and the lights went out, he couldn't sleep. He just stared at the ceiling, wired and empty, like his body was in a cage his mind couldn't escape. His heart would race for no reason. He'd wake up in cold sweats. Panic attacks started showing up uninvited, on dates, in meetings, even while brushing his teeth. And the craziest part? He never told anyone, not one soul. Because Aarav had a role to play. The charming one, the funny one, the one who had it all together. He talked all day long, texting, posting, joking, networking. Yet deep down, he felt like he was screaming in a room full of people who couldn't hear him. Everyone saw the smile. No one saw the spiral. His phone never stopped buzzing, but he felt lonelier than ever. Like, how could a person be so surrounded, yet so alone? And the noise wasn't just outside, it was in his head. 1,000 thoughts fighting for attention. You should have done more today. She doesn't really like you. They're only here for your money. You're falling behind. It never shut up. Even in silence, it was loud, deafening. He tried everything. More friends, more drinks, more content, more stuff. But the more he added, the more he lost himself. It was like trying to fill a cracked glass. No matter how much you pour in, it just leaks out. And deep down, Aarav started to realize he wasn't living. He was just performing. It happened on a Tuesday night. Another rooftop party, another round of fake smiles and louder than necessary laughter. The kind of crowd where everyone's trying to be the most interesting person in the room, but no one's really listening. Aarav stood there, drink in hand, nodding along to some startup bros rant about passive income when it hit him. He couldn't feel a thing. Not the breeze, not the music, not even his own face. He excused himself, walked into the penthouse bathroom, and stared at the mirror. Not a glance, a stare. Long, quiet, painful. And he didn't recognize the man looking back. Eyes tired, shoulders tense, soul gone. He touched his own face like he was checking if it was still real. Then he did something he hadn't done in years. He broke down, quietly but completely. Just stood there, chest shaking, tears rolling, whispering to himself, "What the hell am I doing?" That night, when everyone else was still drinking and pretending to matter, Aarav sat on the edge of his bed and scrolled through his old contacts. And there it was, Swamiji, school trip. A quiet man he'd met in the hills when he was just 16. Back then, Aarav had laughed at the silence. Now, he was begging for it. He typed a long, messy message, deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. Finally, he just wrote, "I can't do this anymore." A minute passed. Then a reply blinked onto the screen. "Come alone, don't speak, stay for 10 days. That was it. No pep talk, no explanation. Just that. The next morning before sunrise, Aarav packed a single bag, powered off his phone, left a note on the kitchen counter, and vanished. No social media goodbye, no dramatic post, just silence. The kind that hurts at first, but also feels like the beginning of something. The place looked like something out of an old storybook. Stone walls, dusty floors, hills wrapped in mist. No reception, no mirrors, no small talk. Just a single room, a shared bathroom, and a bell that rang at 5 a.m. sharp. No one greeted him with open arms, no welcome drink. Just a quiet nod from a man sweeping the courtyard and a note. You speak, you leave. The silence wasn't peaceful at first. It was violent. By day 2, Aarav thought he was going to lose his mind. Without his phone, without music, without the noise to distract him, his thoughts started turning on him. Memories he'd buried clawed their way up. That night he lay on a thin mat, staring at the ceiling, and it all came flooding in. The girl he ghosted because he was too busy. The intern he humiliated just to impress a client. The time he laughed at a friend's breakdown like it was drama. The nights he cried alone and then posted "blessed" the next morning. It was like being haunted by his own echo. He wanted to scream, to talk, to run, to hear anything besides the constant voice in his head. But there was nowhere to go, no one to tell, no button to press, just chores, quiet meals, and meditation sessions that felt more like punishment than peace. By day 4, he nearly packed his bag, almost walked out. But something held him there. Pride, maybe, or shame, or maybe just the terrifying thought that if he quit now, he'd have to go back to the same noise that broke him. So he stayed. He swept the floors, ate in silence, sat cross-legged for hours, eyes closed, body aching, mind racing. And slowly, without even noticing it, he started watching. Not just the trees or the sky, he started watching himself, the way he reacted, the way his brain jumped to defend him, the way guilt tasted different in silence. And somehow, that hurt felt honest. It was around day 6 when something changed, and it didn't come with fireworks or some dramatic revelation. It was just a moment, small, almost invisible. Aarav was sitting under a tree, same spot as yesterday, same cracked cup of black coffee in his hands. But this time, it hit different. The warmth, the silence, the steam curling into the cold morning air. He took a sip and didn't scroll, didn't plan, didn't post. He just tasted it, fully. And for the first time in forever, his chest didn't feel tight. He wasn't restless. He wasn't calculating his next move. He wasn't rehearsing a fake laugh or checking who'd watched his stories. He was here, not stuck in yesterday, not chasing tomorrow, just breathing. Later that day, he found himself sitting by a patch of dirt, just staring at ants. 20 minutes passed before he even realized it. No music, no timer, no reason. And still, he wasn't bored. He was still. That night during meditation, something cracked. Quietly, without warning, the tears came. But not angry tears, not the kind that leave you breathless. These were soft, gentle, like his body was letting go of a weight it had carried for too long. He didn't even know what he was crying for exactly. Maybe the years he lost pretending. Maybe the people he pushed away. Maybe just the ache of finally feeling okay after being broken for so long. He picked up his journal, not for quotes, not for captions, just for him. He wrote whatever came out, messy, raw, unfiltered. He didn't care if it made sense. It was real, and that's when it hit him. The noise, the chaos, the anxiety he thought came from outside, the parties, the people, the pressure, it had always been inside him. The silence wasn't just quieting the world. It was peeling back layers, stripping away the performance, and what was left was someone he didn't hate. Maybe even someone he was starting to know. On the morning of the 10th day, the sun rose the same way it always had. But Aarav felt like he was seeing it for the first time. No rush, no need to capture it for a post. He just watched it break over the trees, quietly, like it had waited for him to finally slow down enough to notice. He packed his things in silence. No one said anything, not even the guide. There were no goodbyes, no hugs, just presence. And as he stood by the entrance, ready to leave, the guide finally turned to him. Aarav didn't ask for advice, didn't ask what to do next. He just looked at the man and said 2 words, soft but full. "Thank you." That was it. The drive back to the city felt like waking up in a different body. Same roads, same billboards, same traffic. But inside, it was quiet. Not empty, just still. He didn't reach for his phone, didn't feel the pull to check anything. For once, the silence didn't scare him. Back home, everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. He didn't post about the retreat, didn't explain where he'd been, he just showed up differently. He didn't text first anymore, he didn't jump to fill awkward silences. He started listening, not just hearing, but listening. He noticed how people talked just to talk, to impress, to defend, to fill space. And slowly, he chose not to. He spoke less, but when he did, people leaned in. His words carried weight. They weren't loud, but they were heard. They had meaning. He realized power isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the calmest, the one who doesn't need to prove anything. That silence he once ran from? It wasn't emptiness, it was space, room to feel, to choose, to actually live. And from that silence, Aarav didn't return with noise. He returned with clarity. A year goes by. No grand transformation, no shaved head, no robes, no mountain life. Aarav still lives in the city, still works, still has bills and deadlines. But there's something different now, something you can't name, but you feel the moment he walks into a room. He doesn't rush anymore, doesn't fill awkward pauses with nervous chatter. He lets them be. And somehow, that makes people more comfortable around him, not less. They start coming to him when things go wrong. Not because he has all the answers, but because he doesn't try to give them. He just listens, really listens, with his whole presence. And that, it turns out, is something most people have never experienced. When he does speak, it's not a performance. No rehearsed wisdom, no motivational quotes. Just simple, clear words that somehow land like truth. Because behind his voice now, there's space, there's depth, there's that silence, the kind that you can't fake. It's not about being mysterious. He's not trying to be Zen, he just is. And that's what shakes people up. Not the silence itself, but what it holds. Reflection, calm, restraint, power. The same people who used to scroll past his posts now wait to hear what he thinks. Not because he posts often, but because when he does, it means something. He's no longer loud, but he's impossible to ignore. One night, sitting alone at his favorite tea shop, someone asks him, "Man, how did you change like this?" He just smiles, takes a sip, and says, "I stopped trying to be heard. I started listening, first to myself, then to others." Because that's the secret nobody talks about. Silence doesn't make you disappear. It makes you real. And the people who learn how to sit with it, they don't talk more, they just talk better.